You're
That's
early.
the answer?
Yeah.
We're good? I'm calling the meeting to order. Attendance, please.
Supervisor Holdred,
Here.
Councilmember Artisana.
Here.
Councilmember Becker.
Here.
Councilmember Corpez.
Here.
Councilmember Dyson.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I don't do it while somebody's speaking.
All right. For public comment tonight, we can start with Alicia. Wasn't there another sign sheet?
It was
Good
nothing on
evening.
there.
I wasn't
Evening.
expecting to be first up. Thank you. I'm here tonight. My name is Alicia Forsini. I live on White Oak Drive. I've been a 30-year resident of Sugarloaf and also own a business with my husband for 30 years in Sugarloaf. And I'm here tonight because I recently, I shouldn't say recently, I've noticed big changes with light pollution. And I know that Chester is continuing to develop, and I think it's just something a lot of people should be aware of. I went to the Chester Conservation Advisory Council, and they really embraced my idea of the, it's a program, it's an initiative called Lights Out, and they do it all over. New York City even does it. And it's basically while the birds are migrating, that we can lower our lights or use sensor lights, or there's a lot of different ways. I'm not going to get into all that tonight. There's a lot of science behind it, but I do have a letter that I'd like to read. So, dear Supervisor Brandon Holdridge and Town Board members, we are writing to request that the Town of Chester consider participating in the Lights Out initiative, a program supported by New York State that reduces excessive outdoor lighting on buildings during peak bird migration periods, mid-April through late May and mid-August through mid-November. Implementing a Lights Out program will not only make our community more bird-friendly, but will also aid in balancing our ecosystem. This might mean fewer mosquitoes and rodents, and residents might enjoy the night skies complete with fireflies. Additionally, sustainability goals will also be met by reducing energy consumption. Many birds migrate at night, relying on natural light cues such as the moon and stars to navigate. Artificial lighting, particularly bright exterior lights, can disorient birds, leading to collisions with windows and buildings or causing them to fly in circles until they become exhausted. The wildlife are being affected as well. The list includes hummingbirds, bats, owls, monarch butterflies, insects, and fireflies. We need this biodiversity to keep our food chain in balance. Studies estimate that millions of birds die in the U.S. yearly due to these hazards. Fortunately, simple steps such as turning off unnecessary lights can significantly reduce the risk. Research from the Field Museum in Chicago demonstrated that by turning off lights in a single building, bird fatalities dropped by over 80%. How can the town of Chester and its businesses and residents participate in Lights Out? We propose the following actions during peak migration times of mid-April through late May and mid-August through mid-November. Evaluate nighttime lighting needs. Turn off unnecessary lights either within 1 hour of closing or between the hours of 11 and 6. Install timers and/or motion sensors wherever possible. Dim necessary exterior lights by 50 to 75% after 11 p.m. Make sure external lighting is downshielded. Beyond protecting birds, these efforts will also lower energy usage and reduce costs for the town and residents. Communities nationwide, including Atlanta, St. Paul, Portland, and New York City, have already adopted Lights Out with great success. We believe Chester can be a leader in this initiative, demonstrating our commitment to environmental stewardship and sustainability. We appreciate your time and consideration of this request and hope to count on your support in making Chester a safer place for migrating birds. Please let us know how we can collaborate to bring this initiative to our community.
No, if
All
I,
right.
if I could just ask, sounds like a wonderful thing. Is it the ask to have the government buildings be lights out, or just like try to broadcast it out for
Well-
like the community at large?
Well, first of all, I think that baby steps. I think that the public is very unaware of even, they have their lights on all the time, and I don't think they realize. Now, as far as government buildings, I think that would be a great initiative for people to observe and see, well, they're dimming their lights. Now, I know that, even sensors, like for example, just the theater, I walked it one night, and just walking up the sidewalk, the lights are all going directly out this way. Not terribly bright, but still, in my mind, those could be almost center lights. As people are walking up the sidewalks, the lights go on. And when there aren't shows going on, certainly the parking lot, everything should not be lit. That's one very small example. I know the comprehensive plan has built in a lighting initiative also. So I just really think that it seems the future is warehousing now. And so certainly I would love to see things in place, that the proper lighting is implemented, but particularly while the birds and wildlife are migrating, that there could be, a lights out initiative. And I think that the town would be perfect to set the example.
If I can address, having been the author of the outdoor lighting ordinance for town, I fully support what you're recommending. During the current upgrade to the comprehensive plan, that was updated to include things like dimming at night, motion detectors, shielding and what have you. My plan also this year is to update the current outdoor lighting ordinance to include those things that are in the comprehensive plan. The worst offender in this town is the industrial park.
I know.
It's absolutely horrific. In fact, CNS or ADUSA was just issued a notice of violation. They, about 3 years ago, they changed all the lighting to LED, and it overflowed beyond their property. And then about 6 weeks ago, they tripled the number of lights,
I
illuminating
drove
the
by
building
there.
and stuff like that. And that's what the violation is, and they have to address it.
Okay.
I also plan on working with the village to see if they can take some action there, because the previous building inspector didn't enforce the town code. So I'm going to look forward to see if that can change. Now, the other thing is the planning board. Part of the job of the planning board is to make sure all applicants adhere to the town codes. One of those is the outdoor lighting. And I'm going to try, being the liaison to the planning board, I'm going to try to make sure that there's a focus there. So whether it be a subdivision for houses, I know when I was on the planning board, I always made sure that they had included in their outdoor lighting and that it complied.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
it's not only subdivisions, but it's also commercial. So I'll be, since the liaison on the planning board, I'll be trying to, work with the planning board to make sure that is enforced. So that's some of the things I plan on doing to try to achieve your goal.
Good to know. Can I just ask you one thing? The building inspector, now, does any of that come into the building inspector to have to make sure that people are properly
Yes.
lighting?
Yes. When new construction, it's up to the building inspector to make sure the lighting conforms to our town code. But there are many, probably the majority of the violations are existing homes and businesses that have upgraded their lighting, never bothered to look at our town code.
Yes.
That's a big task
It
to
is.
do, and it's hopefully at some point we'll have a code enforcement officer I'm hoping at some point, and that could address those things. Go out there and look and find offenders who are not meeting code. So
Thank you.
just some of the
That would be
things that it's going to take some time, but, I
Yeah.
fully, I've been a member of IDA for 20 years. And I've always supported this. When I first moved here 32 years ago, the industrial park had hardly any light. Today, my bedroom is lit up from the industrial park.
great.
And it's really annoying and offensive. But it's a problem because it's the village. But again, I'm going to try to work with the village to address that. But those are some of the things that
Yeah.
we as a town board can do to try to help that effort.
Wonderful. And I think as being part of the Conservation Council, we can do just public awareness,
Yes.
be an advocate and start making people aware of this and,
One of the
hands
things,
on
if I
board.
might suggest, writing a letter to the editor. Put something in there about, lighting. I think I did that probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I put a letter to the
Oh,
editor about it.
absolutely.
But I would suggest that's another way of informing folks that, of the problem, there is a town code and there is a problem affecting animals. I would write it to both the Chronicle, Warwick Advertiser, and the Photo News. So it covers the whole town.
Yeah, definitely.
So-
Okay, very good.
I would like to,
Thank you.
look into this more and work with you guys if possible.
Yeah.
I thought that members of the Conservation Advisory Council was going to talk about this. Did you have
Give
something to
somebody-
say about it as
I'm
well?
not here to speak about that, but I can say just a couple words. We did discuss this at the last meeting. We have 2 committee members, and they're putting together a public education platform as well as a media outreach.
Yeah,
So
I've been working with Liz
Okay,
to do that.
so
I'm
there
the other
there are
person.
definitely things
Yeah.
forthcoming.
And that's what we're hoping. I introduced it to the conservation group because I just really think, myself, I notice, and it's funny, I think what a lot of homeowners will appreciate is if we have more of these birds and owls and things migrating and dragonflies, et cetera, we have less mosquitoes, and just so many, it's just so important for our whole food chain. But I think that last year, the mosquito population evidently was out of control. I know I had somebody pull up to my house and I said, go away because I keep all the beneficials.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to kill them. But there has to be a lot of public knowledge and, information. And we'll work on that with the
Where it
conservation.
starts.
One of the problems that we have is that if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, none of their lights conform to our town code. So what you have to rely on is people using motion sensors, so the lights are on only when they need to be, or a timer or something, so that
Yes.
could be part of the education process.
Yes. I even reached out to ONR. I didn't hear back, but I'm still working on it to get somebody.
I have a contact with them. We can try to.
Yeah, I would love to get someone from ONR just to come in and teach people about the downlight. You can look at even what the town board has, and for someone who doesn't understand lighting, it can be very confusing. But maybe if we had somebody who could even, we could have a town type meeting or conservation meeting, and we can educate people
Yeah.
about that. So,
Thank you.
all right. Well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Next on public comment is Matt LaRue.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be fairly quick since large swaths of this board have determined conservation to essentially be dead in the water. I've come tonight to respond to the frankly embarrassing reaction by this board to the proposal of the town conserving the LaRue plot, a reaction that was quite honestly, gentlemen, so far beneath the seats that some of you sit in. I'm here not representing my family or the Conservation Committee. I'm here representing hundreds of concerned community members and confront the board members who are turning their backs on the future of this community. People who are clearly, by the meeting, have their own personal agendas that become more apparent every meeting that's streamed on that computer, and their astounding short-sightedness. We know what happens to land in this county when it does not get conserved, okay? And to stick our heads in the sand on it and pretend that it can't happen here is lazy. The economics have never been on your side in this scenario. You have had multiple grants at this point put in front of you where the burden of the taxpayer, okay, has essentially been lifted in any meaningful way. And any attempt at saying that this is not economically feasible is dishonest. And yet we can spend $90,000 on a wood chipper. Also, it's noticeable that infrastructure is often a buzzword that's used by this board when it comes for not funding projects that clearly you don't like. And going back through past board meetings where that word is uttered, where's the money going to fix the infrastructure? It's still a problem. So what's happening with it? Just worth noting for anybody that's watching that anytime moving forward when that word is uttered, that maybe it's meaningless because it doesn't seem to fix anything. Mr. Becker, I'm not sure if you wrote that response yourself or if somebody wrote it for you, but you couldn't have been more detached from the words that you were saying. You could not have come across as any less interested in its content than if you tried, and it was glaringly, noticeable in the live stream. And to be honest, you would have come across more genuinely if you simply said you just didn't care about this issue and wanted to move on. Mr. Dysinger, you continue to be obsessed with Knapp's view as a reason to not conserve land, but that issue has been done for years, okay? We have to get over this, right? Conservation is about keeping the land as it is, and there's frequent talk about this board of what can we do with the land to generate profit. That is not why people want to move and live here. People want to move and live here because of open space. Okay, no one has driven past Knapp's view and gone, oh boy, you know what? I would really move here if we put up some gaudy looking houses to try to generate tax revenue. And Mr. Dysinger, you ironically made the statement in the last meeting of, quote, we have to focus on things for the whole community and not just one part. Okay, you can go back in the tape and watch it. Very ironic because after pouring through board minutes from past previous meetings going back a ways, you both mentioned land to conserve from like the Talmadge farm that is not even for sale. And I wonder, gentlemen, whose side of the community does that reside on? And how does that benefit the whole community, if that's your concern? Mr. Ardisana, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Frankly, sir, I don't know your opinions about anything because you largely sit at these meetings and say nothing. And yet those guys got to you, okay, and got your vote. We'd love to actually have some constructive conversations with you. Okay, we'd love your input if you were ever interested, please. Mr. Courtney, you've been one of the few on this board willing to have constructive conversations about this, and we thank you for that. And you've given good feedback on it, and yet they clearly got to you. A direct quote from you last meeting, sir, okay? I know it sounds like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth on this issue. You could have ended the sentence right there, because you were, okay? And I wonder how constituents can take anything you say on this board moving forward with any sincerity. In closing, you all referenced the process as for why you won't move forward with a referendum. Gentlemen, that is your job. Your job is to do the process because we can't, okay? And it becomes outside of your personal agendas, which you clearly have, okay? You won't move forward to do the work, which is your job, a reminder, to put a referendum forward because you're afraid that it's gonna win. That is the only thing that makes sense. Again, speaking for my father who can't be here tonight, he has tried his hardest to make sure that this land does not go into the wrong hands, which we all know exist and don't have our community's interests at heart. Okay, but he's chosen not to do this. And it's not about the money either. Once the money gets divided up a million different ways from Sunday within the family, it's not life-changing because we've got an internet chatter on that as well. He's trying his best, and unfortunately, it becomes more and more defeating the more that we just choose to ignore this. And again, it's glaringly apparent, right? In a group chat, people watching these streams, people talk about your body language. There are clear factions on this board, and that is your job to fix it. And again, if this board continues to be so short-sighted and not see the consequences of not conserving land, that may not be on their side of the community, despite that supposedly being a priority, okay, and refuse to work together, then this will be remembered and referenced early and often come election time. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments tonight?
Anything online, Michelle?
No, nothing.
All right. and we are going to move forward. Resolution to accept the March 5th and work session and March 12th board meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, reports. So with the start of this last meeting, I had talked about the savings that this board has been able to produce in terms of professional services and some internal department savings with overtime specifically. I failed to include the overtime amounts for the building department in the last report. So in terms of paid overtime for the building department specifically, in the year 2024, the first year that these 5 board members took office together, there was no paid overtime in the building department for the whole year of 2024, as opposed to 2023, the year before. Most of us took office here. 193.75 hours of overtime, which amounted to $11,716.12 in 2023, as opposed to $0 in 2024. So I think that is just speaks to how we are able to run things here a lot more efficiently as time went on there. So I'm very proud of that fact. I believe the town clerk has an announcement about the shred event.
So.
If you want to
this-
give her the mic a little bit more.
Thank you. This year, we'll be holding our 10th annual shred event on June 13th. So it's a Friday. It'll be here at Town Hall in our parking lot from 10 to noon. And all residents, town and village included, are able to come with their documents that they want to get rid of and securely. And they'll be shred on site while they wait. And if you have any questions, you can always call my office, 469-7000, extension 4.
What time was that event?
That's from 10 to 12.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to remind the public that we have a vote upcoming on April 9th for the Chester Fire District. They have their budget vote upcoming. So, and then I know that includes some large capital projects. So I know the public might be interested to know that so they can get out and make their voice heard. I know that the Fire District has done I believe a very good job of getting the messaging out there, and they had a info session just a couple weeks ago. So try to gather your information on that and go and make your voice heard and attend the vote. Besides that, I want to remind the public that on April 2nd, there is a planning board meeting upcoming, and then summer camp. It's still live right now. We need to have a certain amount of campers in order to hold the camp. I know most of everybody who's out there that has been watching the meetings and seeing the posts on social media and everything, they know that we at this board is trying to do everything it can to get summer camp back up off the ground, at least normal summer camp, not the film and theater summer camps. But we need at least, I believe the number is 50 campers, if I'm not mistaken, Michelle, per session. So we need to get those numbers out. So if you have kids and you're interested, register now. If you know people that haven't pulled the trigger on that yet, or know people that don't know about it, spread the word, because this is most likely the last chance that we'll look to fund this summer camp program, being that it has been defunct for many years now. I think it's been 4 or 5 years since we've had it. Obviously, some of that was due to COVID, but ever since COVID ended, we haven't been able to get it off the ground again. So please register now. And also, Film and Theater Camp is also open for registration. Are the dates for that the same? The registration closing April 15th?
It is, but we can hold that one a little longer.
So the initial closing date for registration is April 15th. Besides that, we'll go down the line here. We'll start on the other end. Councilman Artisana.
There's one thing that I always found at these meetings that some of these companies come and some of these property owners come and they try to ram down our throats the sale or the certain things that they want to have done on their own. I feel sorry for you because the four of us voted against your property sale. But the problem is that there's a financial responsibility for that also that comes sitting on the board. Right now, we only were told it was about 600,000 that the grant's going to be. The rest is not coming out of the sky. It's out of our pockets. And that's one thing we cannot afford this year. So we're sorry about that.
Over a 25 to 30 year period, it really affects the taxpayer in no meaningful way.
I
This
understand,
has been explained.
sir. I understand your point, but we are out of public comment at this time. Thank you. Anything else, Councilman Artisana?
No, that's it. And it's artisan, not hard saying.
I apologize.
Not that hard to say.
Councilman Courtney.
Really don't have a lot. I've been in a bunch of meetings with you and, contract negotiations. So that's where I've been laser focused with everything right now. So I really can't report anything because we're really not anywhere to report anything at this point. So.
Deputy Supervisor Becker.
Yes. Excuse me. At the last town meeting, I made a statement that the payout for Knapp's View was $10 million. The actual number for that buyout was $6 million. There may have been other things in the bond because that was a number I had been previously told. I also did not mention several additional properties that are either town-owned or preserved properties. The Chester Golf property that may be several hundred acres is now Palisade State Park property, and that was something that was done years ago. We have 44 acres of preserved land on by Walt Lake Estates, 19 acres on Tetz Road, 9 acres on the end of Wright Road, 29 acres on Troutbrook Road, and 9 acres on Wilson Road. And there's another property that would be given to the town in the near future near by Camp Monroe. I also met with our engineer and our Water Department employees at Walt Lake Estates to review the proposal to install a new control panel and pump skid for the upgrades at the water treatment plant. We need to get pricing on the installation and a bypass setup, to stay in operation during the replacement. So I'll be waiting for that price quote so I can bring the complete proposal to the board for authorization. I also attended a DOT meeting about the future Interstate 86 upgrades with the supervisor and the Village of Chester board members. They have updated some of the details of their proposed changes that may impact the Chester area. And hopefully in the near future, DOT will be having an open house at our senior center that will give the public an opportunity to see the proposed changes. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Councilman Dysander.
Sure. Town supervisor and myself had interviewed 4 candidates for the planning board. They will now be interviewed by the planning board on April 2nd, and then they will forward their recommendation to who they would like on the board to the town board shortly afterwards. Greg Feigelson and I interviewed a candidate for the ZBA, and Greg had requested the town board to appoint this person, which we plan on doing tonight. So I think we're finally getting our boards up to snuff as far as fully staffed. So I'm continuing to work with the planning board secretary, building inspector, planning board engineer, and the acting chairperson, as well as the planning board attorney, on coming up with, I call checklists. It could be logs or whatever for handling submission of applications, one for when submissions are brought to the planning board, documenting what exactly is submitted, because that isn't done today, as well as any revisions. And secondly, once a project is approved, to fully document all the documents and everything else that's part of that application. So we have that on record, and it'd be distributed to the appropriate departments within town. Just a reminder, we still need to finalize our EV charger rate. I would hope we find time over the next month or so to get that resolved. On the monthly bills, I noticed the town again buying engine oil, I guess, for the police cars and other gas vehicles from AutoZone. I don't understand that. I don't understand why we're not buying that oil in bulk. It would be a savings for the town as well as for the filters. Buying it, ad hoc from AutoZone is going to be more expensive than buying it bulk. So I think that is something that we need to pursue with the highway department, since they're responsible for doing that. Also, Naps View, we still need to finalize the cutting, how we're going to do that. So we don't have to do that tonight, obviously, but I think we need, maybe on the next meeting, put that on the agenda to decide, what we're doing there. That's what I have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Donna had reached out about the oil and everything? Did you not get that?
I did not see that.
Basically, they had tried bulk purchases in the past, but they frequently dealt with damaged packaging. The town currently gets municipal discount from its vendors, and the difference between bulk purchases and a municipal discount with Advanced is negligible, and we don't have to deal with the losses associated with shipping damages that was resulting from the bulk purchases. That was the explanation about that.
Okay, but you buy in bulk, well, I mean by 30 or 55-gallon drums, far cheaper than buying quarts or gallons, but okay.
All right. Just the messenger.
Thank you.
Yeah, so with me, over the last 2 weeks, like the deputy supervisor said, after we had passed a resolution here, and I had actually gone out and got resolutions passed, or at least, urged the other communities that passed resolutions, which some of them did, including the Village of Florida, the Town of Warwick, the Village of Chester, and I believe one more that I'm forgetting, maybe the Village of Warwick. The closing of exit 127. We had a meeting with the DOT about the Route 17 into I-86 project that does include the closing of exit 127. So this board, a 4-1 vote, voted in a resolution not supporting that part of the plan. We were able to get a meeting with the DOT, which some village representatives and the deputy supervisor and I met with a month or two ago. They heard us out. Basically, we had said, you're going to have to prove to us that if you were to close exit 127, which they say is a must for their plan in order to make it an interstate, you're going to have to ensure that the improvements to exit 126 are substantial enough to deal with the extra flow. Same with, on the other end, 128. And also, I had lobbied, in return for closing exit 127 on top of the improvements to 126. I had lobbied for additional improvements to be made at the intersection of Lehigh, 17M, and Kings Highway. The deputy supervisor and I had both lobbied for that to be a part of their plan, which, in this most recent meeting, I'm happy to say that was all included. So we are going to have a major improvement to exit 126 that, from what they are showing us with the data, will be a vast improvement to the transportation area. And they have in their initial plans now to include a a peanut shape. This is the best way I can explain it to the public. A peanut shaped traffic circle at the intersection of Lehigh, Kings Highway, and 17M, where I see Chris Maurer in the stands right now. We had been working on getting a right turn only lane at the intersection because of the very poor flow there in the past and everything. So I had said they have to put something in there or it has to be realigned. And they apparently listened to us when we said that at the initial meeting. So all of this, like the deputy supervisor said, is going to be on display for the residents to come out to and comment to the DOT. We're going to put together an open house at the senior center sometime. I think we were talking about May or June. So be on the lookout for that. I think it's always good to have as much input as possible, to make sure that nothing is missed. So happy with that knowledge. We're also, the deputy supervisor and I are going to meet with the DOT again, a separate division of them, about the 17M bridge, which, as you know, we have passed multiple resolutions here at the town board, begging them to reconstruct the bridge faster. They are not budging on the timeline, but we are thankfully getting to the end of the timeline. It's supposed to go out to bid next year, and it's supposed to be finished with construction in 2027. So that is the timeline that we've been presented for the last couple of years, and they're not budging on it. But we are setting up a meeting with them later in the month, along with the village representation, Deputy Mayor and Councilman Laspina. I'm sorry, Trustee Laspina, about the bridge. And I think we're also going to be meeting about the Route 94 bridge, if I'm not mistaken, as well, because there are some concerns with that bridge down by Lowe's, I believe. So, yeah, so we are communicating with our state representatives to make sure that the infrastructure here is as well as it can be, especially the ones that we don't have any direct control over.
Yeah, we still had concerns. They were going to double the size of the park and ride,
Yes,
but they were going to move it to a different location and
on West Ave.
Yep.
Yeah.
across the street from where it is now and eliminate the one they have now. So let's see what happens with that.
Yeah, there's talks, the field on at the end of West Ave, for those that might know what I'm talking about, there are initial plans to convert that into a park and ride. So
The only thing I would just comment on when you guys meet with them on the 17M bridge, when they start this project, the traffic is going to virtually double on Route 17M on this bridge. And it just seems like they're backwards on how we're doing this. They should probably get that bridge taken care of first. And I'm nobody that will ever change that, but I hope you guys just make sure.
we had asked for that. They told us flat out no. So
with all the metal and sticks holding up that bridge. Okay?
Yeah, but they did say, and this is something that we did confirm with them, they are not going to close exit 127 until the improvements to 126 and the improvements to the intersection at Kings Highway and 17M are finished. So they're not going to do it
And
backwards.
the interchange at 128.
Yes, and
And the
128.
closing of 129.
Yes, so all of that's going to happen before they close exit 127. So it's all in order to not hopefully negatively affect everyone as much as possible.
Brandon, I know I'm not supposed to speak, but I just have to say, you also have to be on the lookout for the two warehouses that are being built on Route 94 in the town of Bloomingburg that really have no egress to 17 except to come through the town.
That's why everything's
That is
being
correct.
changed down there. It's 128 is going to be rebuilt there.
No, but
No,
as
you're
part
right.
of that, those two warehouses, it's going to go down Oxford as well as down 94. That the village will be impacted by those warehouses.
All this is going to be kept in mind, but thank you. Like Councilman Dysinger said, I also attended those planning board and ZBA interviews. I think we have very good prospects that we sent off to them, one of which we are appointing today. I attended a risk assessment meeting with our insurance company and our insurance carrier and our insurance broker, along with multiple department heads. It was a productive meeting. We're just trying to make sure, continuing to make sure since the start of last year that we are doing everything we can to mitigate risk and mitigate insurance costs going up. The Girl Scouts are selling cookies again. Some of you may have seen my post over the weekend. Go make sure you're going out and supporting the local Girl Scout troop. And then finally, I had attended the Conservation Advisory Council meeting earlier this week, which I believe was a very productive meeting. I again want to thank their work on everything. And also, we had a joint sort of central Hudson Valley type meeting with a couple different conservation advisory councils, which included Woodbury and Cornwall, and I believe members of Blooming Grove. So, yeah, we're building connections here and there. With that, I will move out of reports unless there's any other announcements.
I have one.
All right, sure.
No, the fire district vote is
Oh.
April 8th.
Oh, I'm sorry. The fire district vote is April 8th, not April 9th. April 8th. I thought it was April 9th. But...
No, I sent it to you.
Oh.
Thank you.
I think it's from 6 to 9 p.m.
Checking his phone.
Yeah.
I think that vote is from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
It is.
Right.
No, it says, no, that was that. Yeah, you're right. Well, it doesn't actually say. All right, so it's
Yes.
April 8th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It is at 1408 Kings Highway, Chester, New York. That's basically the building next to the Sugarloaf station. All right. All right, anything else? Seeing none. Summary bills, the 3/25/25 abstract will pay out bills in the amount of $358,024.72. I believe we have a member from Kiwanis here to present about the spring cleanup. Tom, you want to step up?
Brandon, do we need to vote on that for the,
What?
for the bill? Okay.
The abstract?
Yeah,
No, we
Oh,
don't
okay.
need a.
just asking.
Yes.
Hello, Tom.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Tom?
How you feeling?
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tom.
Thank you for letting me come. Sorry I was late. But this year I typed it for you, so you don't have to read my chicken scratch. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
So once again, the Chester Kiwanis, with the help of the community, is going to have our cleanup, and we have 2 dates, because
We'll share. We'll share, Tommy.
I knew I made enough.
Oh, okay.
I just gotta read it and then give it to you, okay?
Go ahead. We got enough.
So, May 10th is the first date that we have with a rain date of May 17th. Problem is the schools and the sporting events. But once I came.
Everyone wants to hear you, Tom.
I'm sorry. Usually people don't like hearing me, so. All right, so once again, the first date for the Chester Kiwanis cleanup will be May 10th, starting at 9 a.m. and ends at noon, followed by lunch. The rain date will be May 17th. Tonight, I'm here to the town board to once again ask for Danny and the police department and their support, and the Department of Public Works, where they send 2 or 3 individuals in the truck to help pick up. Linda always arranges the dumpsters and the placement of the dumpsters. And then we coordinate with the village and the town superintendents for the placement of the trash. So if you see here, I had the Village of Chester Police Department, Town of Chester Police Department, then the village truck and the town truck. What we have this year is we're going to have posters going up, and we're going to go to all the pizzeria shops. And for 3 weeks, they're going to be handing out on their pizza shops a sign-up sheet where they can go to chestercleanday@gmail.com. And we're going to try to develop a little information site there with the poster, which I have to submit to Kiwanis for their approval, which I'll have to them by tomorrow evening, and then hopefully have it up by Saturday. So I gave you that so you could look at it by Saturday. And then we'll disseminate that through all the pizza shops, figuring during Lent, people will be ordering pizzas and I'll be attached to the pizza boxes. Then I'm going to go to the village board meeting and ask for the same from them. We're going to do a lot with Facebook and Strauss newspapers because really there's no other source of engagement that's affordable to get our word out. So once again, I'm just asking for your permission and assistance that you've always been gracious to help us. And the Kiwanis Club needs you and, Chester needs you. You see how bad it is. It's, I think this is the worst it's ever been. And in fact, I went to the local village board recently with photographs of 100 photographs of trash in the village. So I'll be attending the planning board meeting regarding that because it's that bad. So
Tom, is Kiwanis developing a digital flyer for us to post online and social media?
yes,
Good.
I have
post
to get
on-
my son to do that.
Great.
So, yeah. Any other questions?
Good, Tom.
No, thank you, Tom.
I just have to add, the fire police have also been requested as well. And they'll be getting back to me within the next week.
Sounds good.
Just
So they'll be there to help.
Sue got the Walton Engine Hose Company and the fire police to help us too. So
Great.
that they'll supplement the police department in case you guys get busy. But honestly, they pay more attention to you, Danny, than anybody else. So we need you guys. All right?
Yeah, Tom, the
Thank you,
town
sir.
really appreciates Kiwanis' effort to help keep the town clean.
Well, it's a great community day.
Absolutely.
It's nice for the kids to meet some of the seniors.
Yep.
All right?
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
How about older middle age?
Okay.
I'm getting out of here. I can't raise my pants anymore. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Good night, Tom.
All right. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the local law to amend Chapter 87?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now open. This local law is to fix a discrepancy that has to do with the length of time served for firefighters to be eligible for the firefighter tax exemption. Liz, do you want to explain?
Yes, in one place it says 2 years, and in one place it says 5 years. The 2-year section was added, I think, 2 years ago. So we're deleting the 5-year provision so that our poor assessor doesn't have to take a guessing game as to which provision it is. So it would be 2 years. And actually, that was local law 1 of 2023 where that change was made.
Thank you.
So very simple. Is there any public comment on that?
Anything online, Michelle?
Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please read the resolution.
Resolution to adopt introductory local law 1 of 2025, a local law to further update and amend Chapter 87, Article 6 of the Town Code of the Town of Chester to authorize property tax exemption to volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers who have accumulated at least 2 years of service. Whereas the Town of Chester Town Board previously adopted Local Law 1 of 2023 for the purpose of granting a partial real property tax exemption to qualifying volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers who have accumulated at least 2 years of service. And whereas a discrepancy has been identified as to the length of service required to qualify. Whereas the Town of Chester Town Board introduced introductory local law 1 of 2025. I'm sorry, that should be February 26, 2025. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on March 26, 2025. And now therefore be it resolved, after hearing and considering the public comment, the Town Board adopts introductory local law 1 of 2025 as local law 4 of 2025. Be it further resolved that the town clerk shall cause said local law to be filed with the Secretary of State.
Is there a motion to adopt the local law?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Ardisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Deisinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Linda, I'll email this to you in the morning.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the introductory local law for the hotel, motel, and Airbnb tax?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I believe we spoke about this at an earlier meeting as well. Basically, it's going to establish an occupancy tax on the three things listed: hotels, motels, and Airbnbs. I think for our purposes, the Airbnbs are going to be the majority of it. I think, for our community, we actually have a surprising number of Airbnbs in our community. So yeah, I'm excited to make sure that we get this in, we have them start paying their fair share to give back to our community, because obviously many who may have properties near these locations will know that sometimes their guests in our community aren't always the most best caretakers of the properties that they're staying in, and not so much the most neighborly from time to time. So this will give back to the community in some way, where it will benefit all, and hopefully we can put that money back into improving our community. So with that being said, are there any comments on this local law? We already did. Yes.
Anyone online, Michelle?
Going once? Yep.
What's the tax?
The tax is 5% of the room rate.
Any other comment?
Could perhaps that tax go towards open space?
There's a comment about open space, using the tax for open space. It can go towards anything what the board deems fit. I don't think it goes into. Does it go into a
General.
like a specific fund, or no? It go into the general fund, the A fund, which is just general. So
But I guess
exactly
we
what it
could
says.
if we wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys would use it as part of your budget.
It could definitely be discussed for sure. Something definitely to debate. With that, are there any other comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want to read it off?
Sure thing. Whereas the town of Chester, resolution to adopt introductory local law 2 of 2025, a local law to establish a hotel room occupancy tax. Whereas the town of Chester Town Board desires to establish a hotel room occupancy tax to reduce the burden of municipal services incurred as a result of overnight hotel guests on taxpayers. And whereas the New York State Legislature has specifically authorized the town of Chester to implement a hotel motel occupancy tax pursuant to Law 2024, Chapter 512, Section 1. See also New York State Tax Law, Section 1202-HH-1. Whereas the town of Chester introduced an introductory local law 2 of 2025 on February 26, 2025. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on March 26, 2025. And now therefore be it resolved that after hearing and considering public comment, the town board adopts introductory local law 2 of 2025 as local law 5 of 2025. Be it further resolved that the town clerk shall cause the local law to be filed with the Secretary of State.
Being that this is something that I wanted to get done since I got into office as town supervisor, I'd like to motion to adopt the local law. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
There's a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Ardisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Deisinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
And just so that the board, and it is written in the local law and the public is aware, this is a short duration and would need legislative reauthorization in 3 years to see that it's working.
Okay.
So just be aware of that fact that in little less than 3 years, you're going to want to ask for New York State legislative authorization to renew it.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the best value pricing introductory local law?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is this local law would basically, so the way when we go out to try to get components or pieces of equipment that is over the
Procurement.
procurement policy, yes. There's a local law on the books that you have to go by the lowest bid. Technically, you have to go by the lowest bid. This local law would allow us to go for best value. So sometimes you'll have some bids that come in low, but in reality, you actually want to go for something a little bit higher because it more closely fits your needs, or the piece of equipment or vehicle or what have you is better equipped for the job that you'd like to get done. So to technically be in line with the law, we want to be able to pass this local law in order to choose what we would like to choose rather than always the cheapest possible option. Which, of course, best value. It's a balance between what is high quality versus better pricing. So this allows us to try to walk that middle road instead of always leaning on the edge of the lowest possible price. But with that, are there any comments on this local law?
I would also add that the draft local law gives the town an opportunity to evaluate criteria such as a small local business, that a local business responds versus a larger business, a certified MWBE, minority women-owned business, those types of things, so that this board could take into consideration when granting an award.
Very good.
Would it also take in effect standardization on certain products?
It can, and certainly it gives you greater discretion as authorized by New York State finance law versus this is the low bidder. Because unless you determine the low bidder is unqualified,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You're stuck with.
Yeah.
You're generally stuck with the low bidder. Most municipalities have this local law.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Are there any comments?
Nothing.
Anything online? No? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
All those, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do your thing.
Do my thing. Resolution to adopt introductory local law 3 of 2025, a local law to set best value pricing. Whereas the town board of the town of Chester desires to have greater flexibility in awarding contracts by authorizing the award of purchase contracts, including contracts for service work, but excluding any purchase contracts necessary for the completion of public works contract pursuant to Article 8 of the labor law on the basis of best value as authorized by New York State finance law. Whereas the town of Chester Town Board introduced introductory local law 3 of 2025 on February 26, 2025. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on March 26, 2025. And now therefore be it resolved that after hearing and considering the public comment, the town board adopts introductory local law 3 of 2025 as local law 6 of 2025. Be it further resolved that the town clerk shall cause said local law to be filed with the Secretary of State. And by the way, that reference was to prevailing wage.
I'd like to motion to adopt the local law. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Hodges?
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana?
Aye.
Councilmember Becker?
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney?
Aye.
Councilmember Dyson?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Resolution to reopen Section 384D pursuant to Chapter 586 Laws of 2024 for Officer Lee Weinstein. So once upon a time, for whatever reason, Officer Weinstein's retirement paperwork was filled out incorrectly, and he had missed out on years of what should have been paid into his retirement system. He came to the board asking for a correction. We had passed a resolution in support of this, and we had sent that up to the state the state legislator and the governor did sign it into law that we have the authority to grant the to reopen and start paying back into it. So this is now us making good on that. So it's not only us, it's also Greenwood Lake because he had served some time there. So they will also have the opportunity to pay back into the system if they so choose. But you know, I believe I speak for some of the members of this board who I've spoken to about this personally. That you know, everyone deserves to be paid for the time that they worked. So we want to make sure that he's paid in full for all the years that he put in. So with that, it is $52,400 each year over 10 years in order to pay back. So it was either that or a lump sum, which we did not want to pay lump sum. So there you go. Are there any comments on this? Or
I
debate
just think
points?
this is the right thing to do. You know, it's unfortunate an error was made, and we need to correct that. So this is the right thing to do.
Any other comments or debate points?
No, I'm just, Larry's spot on.
With that being said, is there a motion to accept the resolution as stated?
I'll make the motion.
Is there-
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana.
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Corte,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, we have been doing interviews, Councilman Dysinger and I. Kadeen Simpson had an excellent interview with us, I believe, and she did also interview with the ZBA chairman. He was there present. And the ZBA did submit a letter in support of her appointment to the ZBA. So this is the resolution to appoint her. Are there any debate points or comments?
Nope. Then he should be a good person to be on the board.
Anything else? Nope. Seeing none, is there a motion to appoint her?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Corte,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger,
Aye.
All right. I failed to appropriate the money for the Officer Weinstein situation. So with that being said, we need to appropriate it in the A fund, the general fund. Is there a motion to appropriate the money to pay into the retirement system from the A fund?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. All right. Resolution to accept tax certiorari.
Yeah, certiorari.
Certiorari.
Say
That
that
is my
10 times
least
fast.
That's a
favorite
word.
word in the English language. Should not be a word. I will
You can
try
call
to
it
change
tax
that
cert. You can
in the
call it a
future.
tax cert from now on.
Tax certiorari. Settlement agreement with the Broccoli Patch Incorporated. So every couple of years, the various larger properties or mostly commercial properties in the town do this very difficult word process to tax certs, the tax cert process. Basically, they look to have their home, not their home, but their property reassessed. And then when they have it reassessed, then they try to apply that back a few years. Is the best way I believe I can
You're
explain
allowed to
it.
go back 5 years.
Yeah, to layman. So this it's basically an annual thing that you can't do anything about. Everybody who knows about it will do it and take advantage of it. You know, the worst offender of it is the Chester Mall in the center of town and all that. So which their settlements are usually a lot more than this. But this is the settlement amounts that both parties have agreed. The town assessor's office and the property owner agreed to $8,938.15. That is it. Are there any debate points or comments?
I'm sorry. The unfortunate thing is the state is not serving the towns well because this applies. They can go back 5 years for businesses, but not for personal residence. So
It's a disservice.
it's two ways. It should be one way. And it'd be nice if we could get the state to, petition the state to change that, but it is what it is.
I just want to thank John Schuler for the response he gave me and an explanation more detailed than that to explain why this had to take place. Thank you, John.
All
Yes,
right.
thank you,
Can
John.
I just, I'm opening it now. This covers the tax years 2020 through 2024. And then also be aware that once you settle this, unless the assessment changes, they can't challenge this for 3 years. Here's the freeze.
All right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's part of the statute.
Are there any other debate points or comments?
No,
Seeing none, is there a resolution? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
second,
Roll call vote, please, to accept the settlement agreement. I hope that was the motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
and amount.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. From the A fund?
It,
You don't know? Do you know?
I
You don't know?
I don't think it's an appropriation because it's a settlement. We can fill in the A fund. Mr. Bazilla, who represents the town, will sign the consent decree.
Okay.
Just let me know.
Okay.
All right, we'll figure that out when we get there. Resolution to direct Town Clerk Zapala to issue a notice calling for residents to join the Parks Advisory Board. Later on in the agenda, you'll see that many have resigned from the Parks Advisory Board. It is not a unhappy divorce. It is a happy divorce. They are moving on to create a nonprofit that they and I had spoken about. Basically, the problem with many of these members who had joined the Parks Advisory Board, they would like to fundraise like the Warwick Playground did, the Village of Warwick Playground did. They would like to fundraise, create a nonprofit in order to do so because the town cannot solicit donations. Anybody on a town board, whether that be the town board or just an advisory board, cannot solicit donations on behalf of the town. It's illegal. So they are splitting from the Parks Advisory Board in order to create this nonprofit that they are going to use to fundraise for the playground project that we'd like to get done in Carpenter Park. They're going to be working still very closely with me and the rest of the town board in order to do that. In fact, we have to set up some sort of legal thing and I got documentation from the Village of Warwick, so we can just copy and paste, save some time for our attorney. And yeah, so we're going to move forward. They are going to be a huge asset to this town, and I'm very much looking forward to working with them, continuing to working with them to get a pretty big project done in Carpenter Park. But with that being said, is there a motion to direct the town clerk to issue the notice to try to get new members in the Parks Advisory Board?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That sneeze will come back eventually.
I can't set up the number.
What?
I can't set up the number.
No, I know. No, the documentation so there's basically an agreement documentation that will have to happen between the nonprofit and us.
Yep, okay, fine.
All right. Resolution to temporarily hire Kathy Scalia as a part-time town assessor's clerk at $29. I'm sorry, $29.29.5. I imagine that will round up to 20 to 30 cents.
Was that for 5 hours? 5 hours a day.
Oh, is that what that? I think he missed. Yeah, so I just copied and pasted his thing. So no, I don't
Yeah,
think it's
that's
supposed to
right.
be 5 hours a day because that's per hour. No, it's the same amount that Joanne is working right now.
20, isn't she looking at 20?
Also, then maybe 5 hours a day. It's the same exact parameters as Joanne. So Joanne is going out. She's taking a leave of absence for a couple months. We are hiring somebody temporarily to fill in her exact role at her pay while she is out. So is there a motion to accept this resolution?
I'll make the motion,
Is there a
Second.
second?
and this will bring in somebody that already knows the position to get
Yes.
the work done, which
I've-
simplifies it for us.
I failed to mention Kathy had worked here previously in that role, so so she will be able to come in with very little training necessary in order to pick up where Joanne leaves off, and then she'll leave when Joanne returns. So fits perfectly. Is there a motion?
I did the motion.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. Introductory law, local law for the 485B opt-out. So this is something that the state passed on the state level that would allow for local municipalities to opt out from. This is basically a tax exemption that was given to businesses to, give them a reason to come to a local municipality back in the day. I think it was like the 70s or 80s. I'm sorry? 76. Thank you. So over time, they have learned to take advantage of this exponentially, which is a loss to the residents of Chester. I want to thank Senator Skoufis for bringing this to our attention. I had jumped on this very quickly after he had reached out to me about this. So he was behind a big push to allow for this opt-out to happen on the state level. So with that said, I would like to motion to introduce, well, we have to have this read first, correct?
Have a resolution.
Yes, let's read that first.
All right. Introductory local law 4 of 2025, a local law to amend the code of the town of Chester by amending the real property tax law section 485B, reducing the percentum of exemption otherwise allowed by that section from 50% to 0. Whereas the town of Chester Town Board desires to amend the real property tax law section 485B, reducing the percentum of exemption, otherwise allowed by that section from 50% to 0. And whereas Chapter 87 entitled Taxation is hereby amended by adding Article 9 entitled Business Investment Exemption Reduction, which shall read as follows. The percentum of exemption allowed by real property tax law section 485B2A1I little I, in which real property constructed, altered, installed, or improved subsequent to July 1st, 1976 for the purpose of commercial, business, or industrial activities is granted an exemption from taxation and special ad valorem levies to the extent of 50% of the increase in assessed value thereof attributable to such construction, alteration, installation, or improvement is hereby reduced from 50% to 0. Now therefore be it resolved that a copy of the aforesaid introductory local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the board, and be it further resolved that the town hereby finds that this local law reducing the percent of exemption shall not apply to a project in the course of construction or exemptions existing prior to the adoption of this article. Be it further resolved that this local law shall become effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State pursuant to the new home rule law. Be it further resolved that a public hearing shall be held on April 23rd, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. or soon thereafter as may be heard in Town of Chester Town Hall, 1786 Kings Highway, Chester, New York, 10918. The town clerk shall cause to be published public notice in the official newspaper as is required by law.
All right, so is there a motion to introduce the local law and set a public hearing for April 23rd?
I'll make the motion.
Is there I'll second that. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Resolution to accept the 2024 Justice Court audit. Everyone received a copy of this. Are there any comments or debate points on this?
No.
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the report?
I'll make the motion.
The audit, I'm sorry. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, 2025 IMA for the Stop DWI regular enforcement overtime. This is an annual thing every year. We work with Orange County. They fund partially our Stop WDI. Wow. TWI.
Say that
perhaps
2
I'm
times.
under the- for our local police department. It's $5,702 this time around. Are there any comments or questions on this?
No,
Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the IMA and authorize my signature?
motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, we have 2 requests for trainings, education from the police department, Officer Calderon, to the 2025 New York Tactical Officers Association Annual Conference for $499.99. And then the second one is Chief Dollinger, Sergeant Vitale, and Officer Gunderman to the annual Mid-Hudson DWI. Why do I want to say that? DWI Enforcement Prosecution Conference for no fee. So those are the 2 requests. Are there any comments or questions on this?
No,
Or debate points?
nope,
Seeing
Nope.
none, is there a motion to accept the requests?
motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. This is that. This is the IMA. Thank you. All right. Discussion on the employee handbook. So it was brought to our attention that there was a discrepancy in the well, not a discrepancy, but an inequity, so to speak, in the handbook when it came to some members of the town hall here. So our labor attorney had counseled us on this. I had sent the suggested language to the full town board. So the suggested language was an eligible full-time employee who works 35 hours per week shall be credited with 7 hours of paid sick leave on the last day of each month worked. An eligible full-time employee who works 40 hours per work week will be credited with 8 hours of paid sick leave on the last day of each month worked. Notwithstanding, any full-time employee working for the town as of November 17th, 2024, who works a 35-hour, 4-day work week shall be credited with 8 3/4 hours of paid sick leave on the last day of each month. So this is hopefully in order to fix the inequity, but I know there are some opinions about this, so I'd like to have a discussion on it. So I'm opening the floor to that.
I would like to simplify it, simply saying that for each month, you get a work day off. Now, the problem is we have 3 different scenarios there, and I think effort on my part, and maybe others, at some point, we'd like to get the town to have work a 5-day, 40-hour week, just like the county just switched to. And if you leave it as suggested, people are going to be getting who work a 4-day work week, 35 is getting 8 3/4 hours every month. Other people are getting less. So if we change, they're getting actually more time off than is really intended. So if you just simply word it as for each month, you get a work day off. It's so much simpler, less complicated.
I think the reason why we would want to stay away from that kind of language is because a day means something different to each type of employee. So that's why we wanted to write it out with the specific hours so there can be no further discrepancy about the situation. And I understand, the wants to, and we are trying to do that through attrition, switch everybody over to a 5-day work week, which we have been doing. This town board has at least. But in order to fix the situation for those who, were hired before a certain date, this I believe is and I spoke, and Councilman Courtney and I had spoken to the labor attorney about this today. It's her strong opinion that we should keep the way it's written right now, unless I'm mistaken.
And Larry, to your point, that did came up to make it an easy way to fix that. But what happens if somebody goes home sick at 1 o'clock was the argument that got tossed back at us. So how do you say a day versus hours? And that's where the argument came in.
I think from my thought process on this, it should all be based on hours. It fixes everything. Basically a 4-day work week person or a 5-day work week person, other than other employees who work a 40-hour week now. And I think there may be one of those. They all work 140 hours in that week. So why is one employee going to get 8 3/4 hours and another employee going to get 7 hours? It should be based on the 7 hours.
A set number.
A set number. If you work 140 hours in that month, you get 7 hours off. And this clarifies the disparity for holiday pay, personal time, and sick time, because the same thing is happening with every one of those times that people get. It's a disparity across the board. And the only way to be fair to every single employee in this town is to base it on hours.
I think, my preference is say workday, but I'm more than willing to go along with a set number. For example, 7 hours. I'm okay with that.
I think it merits more conversation. Perhaps this is something that we can do at a work session with our labor attorney present, so we can speak. We can talk out each and every option.
And if I could just throw my 2 cents in. Back when Tom and I first got on this board, it was about 5 years ago, Tom, the similar situation came up. And I did an exercise of taking a year-end pay stub versus a 4-day, was a 4-day or 5-day work week per person, right? 2 different people. One person that worked a 4-day work week, one person that worked a 5-day work week. And we landed on the same amount of holiday pay, hours, not pay, but holiday hours. So I'm a little confused because, there would have been sick time on there too. But I'm not feeling it with the 8.5 hours for the 4-day person and the 7-hour. To me, the easiest fix is everyone works 5 days a week and just be done with it. We've belabored this and we've tippy-toed around it. I made 5-day work week and then we stop all of it. That's where I stand with it.
I would recommend, in light of the discussion, that you table this and then have an attorney-client with,
Okay.
because I don't advise you on employment issues, with your labor counsel.
Okay.
So she can.
Thank you.
Okay,
I agree.
more than willing.
All right.
Have a motion to table.
Yeah, motion to table this until a later date.
I'll make the motion.
Pat, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Chester Historical Society request for rental fee waiver for the 2025 Penny Social. Everybody received this request. Are there any comments or debate points on it?
I think it's, to me, they're extension of the town, the Historical Society. So I don't think it's fair to charge them for using it. They do a good service for the town. So I'm not in agreement. I'm in agreement with giving a waiver for them.
Does this also cover the cleaning cost for this?
They are asking for all. No?
I said we'd pay the cleaning cost.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Yep,
I
she
must
did.
be mixing it
I
up.
was trying to be, we were trying to be reasonable.
Yep.
And
That-
agreeable.
Sure.
That's an expense to the town.
And I'd be happy to help you with those costs.
Thank you, sir.
You're well welcome.
Anybody else? I have my hand.
You could count me in too. I'll split it. Tom and I seem to go on these endeavors splitting things, so I'll split it with him.
I am the treasurer.
All right. Yes, you're right. You did say that. I must have messed that up, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I
didn't want to be too greedy.
So the waiver is for the rental, not for the cleaning.
Right.
Are there any other comments or debate points?
No.
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to to authorize the waiver
Motion,
for the rental fee? There's a
motion.
motion. I will second it. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Hopper,
Aye.
Councilman Aldisano,
Aye.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Courtney,
Aye.
Councilman Geisinger,
Aye.
And we thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Passes unanimously. No problem.
Thank you for the work that you
Yeah.
do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, ladies.
And that event is happening when?
October,
October. So be on the lookout, Chester community.
the 5th.
October 5th at the Chester Senior Center. Resolution to accept the resignations. I spoke about this earlier of Aaron Stamp, Laura Sullivan, Priscilla Chang Staley, Ray Presky, and Veronica Mott from the Parks Advisory Board. I explained all this before. Are there any comments or debate points on this?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the resignations?
Motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Moving on, resolution to request the New York State Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limits on Hamiltonian Avenue to 25 miles per hour. The first part of this road is village owned. It is already 25 miles per hour. The second part is town owned. It bumps up to 30 miles per hour. The rest, I got a message from a resident who had asked us to make it uniform so people might go just a little tiny bit slower, especially because it is a school road and there's a sidewalk where pedestrians, our children, normally walk to and from
Yeah,
the school there. So this is going to be our attempt to ask the DOT to reduce the speed limit.
So you're looking for the entirety of Hamiltonian Avenue that's in the town of Chester?
Yes.
For the speed limit?
Yes. And I believe I have a resolution. Yes, I do. Whereas the town board of the town of Chester has received concerns from a speed limit, about the speed limit on Hamiltonian Ave near Chester Academy, which is one of our local schools. And whereas the residents have voiced concerns over vehicles not abiding by the posted speed limit on Hamiltonian Avenue, causing a public safety issue. And whereas the residents have voiced concerns over the safety of pedestrians using the sidewalk on the road, specifically students walking to and from the Chester Academy. And whereas the speed limit of Hamiltonian Ave is 30 miles per hour in the town of Chester and 25 miles per hour in the village of Chester, the town of Chester is requesting to reduce the maximum speed limit to 25 miles per hour for all of Hamiltonian Avenue. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Chester requests that the town clerk of the town of Chester send a certified copy of this resolution to the county of Orange for review and for approval and submission to the New York State Department of Transportation. I had written this resolution. Are there any debate points or comments?
Hopefully we can get that done since it's in a school zone. I mean, every other time we've gotten turned down, but I think we can make the argument that the village is 25 and there's a school right there. So hopefully we can get it done.
Hopefully. Anything else? Seeing none, I'd like to motion to accept this resolution.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Aldisano,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Geisinger,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. I will send you an updated resolution with the two typos fixed. All right. Rotolo, I'm sorry?
You find them when you read them.
Yes. Rotolo Fire / Burglar Alarms annual contracts. It is exactly what it sounds like. They're annual contracts for these sorts of alarms that we contract with Rotolo for. They are $348 and $540 for the year, respectively. Are there any comments or questions
for town hall.
for Town Hall? Thank you. Are there any comments or questions or
Nope.
debate points?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a resolution to accept the contracts and authorize my signature?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. All right, we have a resolution to post notice for seasonal part-time Parks Department. A seasonal part-time, I failed to put the actual laborer, we'll call it, right? That's the right one, yeah. See, a seasonal laborer who is part-time at the Parks Department at $15.50 an hour. Are there any comments or questions or debate points on this?
Whatever year.
We do this every year. Try to get an extra hand in there during the heights of the season, as there are many parks and facilities to take care of, and there's only 3 members in the buildings and grounds crew, which is part of the Parks Department. Are there any debate points or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the resolution and post a notice for this position?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution to increase the water rates for Walton Lake, Surrey Meadows, Sugarloaf, and the Lake Hill Farms water districts to $10. This is in line with the plan to raise the rates while lowering the water district taxes, which we did in this last budget. This will be effective, which I failed to put on, effective July 1st. July 1st. So the residents shouldn't need to adapt until that time, and the billing for that will be later on in the year. Are there any comments or debate points?
No, I thought we had gotten this done already, but apparently we didn't.
I think it was a
Here we are.
Mandela effect thing, because I feel like everybody thought we had gotten it
Yeah,
done.
I thought we
and then-
did. Yeah.
And it just kind of,
We adopted the law, we
Yeah.
didn't adopt the rate,
it's unfortunate, but
so we.
Thought they went hand in hand.
We needed 2 resolutions.
Okay.
The law doesn't set the rate. What the law did was it changed from semi-annual to quarterly.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
and I will second it. Are there roll call vote, please?
Supervisor Holdridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Artisana,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Councilmember Courtney,
Aye.
Councilmember Dysinger.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Our new business. This came in very late, so I apologize. I did email it out to you. I hope everybody was able
Yeah,
to
I've seen it.
skim through it at least. It is a boilerplate contract, basically. It's for the firearms training facility revocable license with Orange County Sheriff's Department. Basically, it's a formality for the use of that facility. Are there any debate points or questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to accept and authorize my signature?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Just before we head out of new business, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Give me 1 second here. I believe we are good.
Can I,
Good. We are now in public comment.
I wanted to do a little bit of new business also.
Oh, sure. Never mind.
I actually had a discussion with Detective Grasso from the Village of Chester PD today. He is part of the drug task force here in Orange County. He is one of 8 officers who's trained to be able to detect people who are using illicit drugs such as cannabis or things like that that are undetectable by any other form of, that there's no blow test or anything like that, like with alcohol, that would allow them to tell that somebody has a drug in their system. So his concerns for the thoughts of the town bringing cannabis back up, what the county's doing right now, there's one person at the county is looking at all of the potential negative impacts that are taking place in the areas of towns and areas that now sell cannabis. So there's apparently some negative effects, and they are looking into what they are and putting in basically something together to show what's going on with that. And he did have concerns with the possible increased policing needed in the areas of these facilities, and the negative things that come along with it. And another fact that was made that I was unaware of, that some of these products do not leave somebody's system for up to 24 hours. So it's a big concern. I know I was trying to keep open-minded to this project, but I think there are some major current concerns that we have to take into place, and just something for us to talk about in the future.
Yeah, so I've spoken to the town supervisor, Dwyer, over in Warwick, our neighbor, who has two facilities, dispensaries opening up right next door in that town. And he had also brought up the same thing about how to tell if somebody's under the influence and everything. It requires specific special training on the part of the officer, which could be something that we could try to get here in one of our officers. But he did say that if necessary, ever, whether we have dispensaries here or not, we can always put in a call. Our police can always put in a call to theirs to have the guy that's trained over there to come out, and perhaps we can talk to them more about seeing how we can get one of our officers trained, whether or not we have a dispensary open up in here. I think it's something that's probably good.
To me, I believe it's not just one officer. I think I like to see all the officers trained. So if they stop somebody, they can perform the work themselves.
It must be a pretty intense training
Yeah.
because there's
Yes.
only 8 officers right now,
No, I
I think, in the
understand.
county. So it's it could be quite costly, and
Well, I think we need more than one person, I guess. I'll leave it at that. I think you need, to have at least one per shift, that is trained and can do that. So if there's a circumstance, and that person could be brought on site to do that evaluation, it shouldn't just be one person.
yeah, I think I would rely on our chief to bring that to us if he thought that was something that was necessary for his force. So I would leave it at that for now, from my own thought. That's all.
Is there any other new business?
No.
Seeing none, public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'm James Donovan. I'm representing the Conservation Council. We had sent a recommendation this afternoon to present we sent an email this afternoon to present a recommendation at the meeting. Is it appropriate to speak on this at this time?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to read the recommendation from the council that was approved by a unanimous vote. All right, so first I'll give you a little background. It's short. I know there's a buildup here. During the March 12th, 2025 meeting of the town board, a presentation made by officers from the Chester PD focused on a receipt of a law enforcement technology grant. The officers explained that the grant would be used to purchase and install 11 traffic monitoring cameras throughout the town. In a meeting discussion this week about the protection of trailheads and illegal dumping, the Chester Conservation Advisory Council focused on the intersection of Bull Mill and the Row roads. Consensus was among a number of trailheads, which are sites of illegal dumping, this particular intersection was the most well-known offensive area. The Chester Conservation Advisory Council is recommending to the board that one of the monitoring cameras be installed near the intersection of Bull Mill and the Rue roads. Members of the CCAC have identified the Goose Pond South parking lot as well as the surrounding areas to be susceptible to dumping. There have been multiple dumping events in the area which have been reported to the Chester PD. The CCAC requests that in addition to the installation of the monitoring cameras, that the town board initiate a public awareness campaign on the town's website to spotlight illegal dumping as both environmental pollution and a violation of sanitation and health codes, punishable by laws and fines.
Thank you. I'll have to, in spirit, second that. I actually, not at that trailhead, but I failed to mention in my reports, I was able to get some tires cleaned up at the 17M trailhead for Goose Pond Mountain that they seem to love to dump out as well. But yeah, the Bull Mill trailhead is also something that's usually a problem with dumping trash for those in our community that don't understand how to use a trash can.
On the report, excuse me, we have some pictures
Yeah,
on there.
no, we're very well aware of it. I don't know if that's possible, but I think we could definitely take it under advisement. I know we have the police chief here who is hearing you and all that, so maybe we can talk about that. I don't know if that's something that we can look into, but we will definitely look into it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You emailed that to us, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, please step up.
Dylan Skrilloff. So the resolution to increase water rates to $10. $10 per what?
Per 1,000 gallons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. Should have had that on the resolution. I apologize.
per 1,000 gallons?
Yes. All right. Are there any other public comment tonight?
Michelle.
Online, yes.
Connie Roach, just curious, what fund did the money for the summer camp signs come out of?
The summer camp fund. We have a specific budget line for that, and that has been a normal purchase out of that line every year. How much did it amount to?
I don't remember exactly.
It was like it was in the very low, like
300.
yeah, it's like a couple $100 for
The road signs?
yeah.
Yeah, I seen them today.
So there you go. All right. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.